everybody, and thank you for joining in. On behalf of Study Smart, I warmly welcome each one of you for sparing your valuable time to attend this webinar. It has been our endeavor to bring to you the latest current news that is happening on COVID-19 and on your study abroad plans. We have left no stone unturned to get you the latest and updated news. And today, in this webinar, we will try and answer all your questions as well as clear all your apprehensions that you have. I would request each one of you to be tuned in to get more, because we have a panel discussion and we have industry experts joining in a little later to answer all your questions and queries. To begin with, I would give you a little overview about who we are and what Study Smart does. My name is Jacinta Matthews, and I am a part of the Study Smart team. Study Smart has been in this business for the last 10 years. We are a premium overseas education consulting firm, and we offer best in the class personalized guiding and counseling for our students who wish or aspire to study abroad. We cater to various countries, mainly USA, UK, Germany, Ireland, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, Singapore, Malaysia, and many more. We do have counseling offices in India, and our offices are located in Delhi, Gurgaon, Pune, Thane, and Surat. We have support offices in London and Auckland for our international students. We provide offline, online coaching, as well as now in this situation, we are using technology to our fullest, and we do counseling via Zoom. We are accredited with British Council for our education for UK, for IELTS as well as Pearson. We are also partners and accredited with Education New Zealand and Education Ireland. We are members of the Society of Education Consultants UK, as well as Association of Australia, representing in India. We are one of the premier institute and topmost in providing trainings for IELTS, TOEFL, and PTE, and we have trained close to 1,200 students every year, and the number is ticking. For both the academic students who wish to study abroad, as well as students who wish to migrate to different countries. We have placed over 5,000 people across 12 countries. Our services include we do counseling for all our students who aspire to go abroad. So we have a very well counseling team that takes care of the counseling. So our overseas education counseling and expert team helps you in every single step of your aspiration or your dreams for study abroad. Universities and selection of countries and universities are done on the basis of students' profile and requirement. We do a thorough profiling and mapping for our career orientation and industry integration courses. We are happy to share that we give every guidance on the admission process, from your application deadlines to your SOPs to your reference letters, from end to end, from the time you get associated with Study Smart till the time you reach to your respective destination. I do understand that a lot of students look forward for scholarships. So yes, we do assist you, and we give you a specialized, we have a specialized cell that helps you with your scholarship requirement. We also assist you with your finances, that if you are wanting to take a loan from any of the public sector banks. So we do introduce you to that team as well. Our services also include visa documentation and counseling with expert guidance from former High Commission staff. While you are preparing with your application and you're getting ready to go to the country of your dream, we also help you with your pre-departure service like flight tickets, currency exchange, insurance, which is very, very critical and important. We also help you with post-departure support, accommodation, part-time jobs. We have a good network of students who can assist you with that when you reach to your destination. We have an access, just like I mentioned, the network of 1,500 plus alumni for your on-site support. So when you reach there, somebody from our family, that is the Study Smart family, will definitely take care of you in a country which is unknown to you. Post-landing support available through our offices in London and Auckland. So these are some of our major services that we provide to our students. Now I have somebody very important and eminent who has been an entrepreneur and whose dream is to make sure that every student who dreams and aspires to go abroad or overseas for their further studies a reality. None other than I would like to present you Mr. Chetan Jain, who is a dynamic personality and who has put Study Smart together to help you in your endeavor, in your journey to your overseas education. Chetan Jain has been a very, very influential person where study abroad is concerned. And he has also completed his MBA from UK. He has completed his MBA from the prestigious UK University and has worked with international admissions as a manager with various British universities like LSE Group of Colleges, University of Chester, and Anglia Ruskin University. Like I mentioned earlier, he has a vision to help every Indian student across the country to achieve their dream of studying abroad. Over to you, Chetan.
Thanks, Jacinta, for that lovely introduction. Good evening, everyone, and a very warm welcome to all the students who've joined in today. I can see a lot of familiar names in the attendance list, students who've already been in touch with us and have been applying through us, plus a lot of new names that I'm seeing today, right? So I'm going to try and keep this, my section a little short so that we move quickly towards the panel discussion where we have some eminent guests who will be joining us. What we have tried to do today is that we have done a detailed analysis of the current situation in various countries, and we've tried to provide some kind of a risk assessment of these countries. How risky are they in terms of you wanting to go there? And we've also tried to measure what their economic impact of COVID-19 is there on these countries, and how quickly can they recover from this crisis and their economy can be back on track, so that when you go to study there, you also have enough job opportunities. Right? We've been in touch with various government agencies. We've been speaking to various universities, various bodies to gather the information and then try and present to you some numbers and some statistics which will help you make the right decision. Right? So let's move ahead. The first country I would like to talk about. Sorry, I'm just trying to get my presentation right. Right, the first country on our list is Australia, where the risk assessment is low. They have come down to as low as 5 cases on an average. They're pretty much back to normal life. Almost everything is pretty much open in a majority of the parts of Australia, right? And they're looking very, very strong to have a regular February or a regular November intake. So the next intake that we are anticipating is November, where some universities may offer some courses for November, but their major intake would be February 21. We see it as one of the low risk countries in terms of students wanting to study there. We also see the economic recovery happening immediately because the impact has been very minimal. And I think as an economy, they are already pretty much back on track for recovery. So Australia could be an attractive destination for most students. uh, because it's pretty much back to business, right? So that's as far as Australia is concerned. The next country we've done some assessment for is New Zealand. They were the first ones to get rid of the coronavirus. They're pretty much down to 0 cases now. They've not been in a lockdown for almost 3 to 4 weeks. Pretty much everything is back to normal, barring a few schools and colleges which are not open yet. Though they are not keen on doing the July intake, we've been told that the October intake is happening for sure. And though October is not a regular intake for them, the February 21 intake would be a regular full-fledged intake where you'll have all the possible courses available. A very important point that most of these countries, as of today, require you to be in a 14-day self-isolation when you arrive in the country. But we believe that this will also change over a period of time, and they would relax these kind of criteria of self-isolation as well, right? So economic recovery also for New Zealand, because they've taken the least impact and they were so quick to recover. I believe the economic recovery is going to be immediate. Right. Another one which we have assessed as a low risk country is Ireland. It's down to only 12 cases on a daily basis now, and I believe they will get rid of. They'll come down to 0 very quickly. Pretty much everything is open: bars, restaurants, public transport. Everything is pretty much open. As of now, they're not allowing international travel, but they've been very clear that the international travel for students who want to come in September will be allowed. In fact, their VFS is expected to start taking applications for student visas from 6th of July. So from Monday, students can take an appointment and apply for the visa as well. So they're pretty much back in business. Majority of the colleges and universities in Ireland are planning to do physical classes. So there's no real harm that will happen to the students in terms of the experience as well. The next intake you can obviously target is the September 20 intake, but there are a few colleges that also have a January 21 intake, so you could always look at that as well. Right, next in line is UK. Though the numbers are slightly higher compared to some of the countries, that's why we put it on a moderate risk and not a low risk. They're still getting about 900 cases on a daily basis, but there have been occasions when they've come down to double digits as well. And do bear in mind that UK has one of the best national health, public health systems in the world, right? So in terms of their ability to treat people, their ability to provide the kind of facilities that students want, they're top notch in that sense. Again, a big day today for UK. They have opened up everything. They've opened up bars, restaurants, public transport is back on. Schools and colleges are expected to open soon. The universities are very keen on doing the September intake, so they're gearing up to welcome the students and ensure that they're taking all kinds of steps from their side to maximize students' safety. As of now, the self-isolation is there for Indian students. Recently, they announced that they have lifted the self-isolation requirement for 56 countries. So students traveling from 56 countries don't need to self-isolate themselves for 14 days. As we move closer to September, we believe this could also get relaxed for UK as well. The next available intake is the September 20, but we are seeing a lot of universities are also offering a January 20 intake with a wide variety of courses, which is typically not the case, right? So a lot of students who are not very comfortable to go for the September 20 can also always look at deferring their application to the January 21 intake. Right, moving on, Germany also remains on a moderate risk. Again, they've come down to around 400 cases on an average. A lot of appreciation has been given to the Prime Minister of Germany for the way they tackled the situation. They were among the highest at one point of time in terms of the number of infections, but they've done a fabulous job in controlling it. Again, it remains an attractive destination, though we are not very sure whether the September intake will happen. A lot of universities are not planning to do the September intake, or they're planning to do it on a blended mode or an online mode, which is something we personally don't recommend, right? And so that's why we're saying the next available intake could be the February intake, February 21 intake. And even on the economic recovery front, we see it as a short term. So by the time students graduate, the economy should be good and job ability should be there. Right, coming to Canada, we are placing it on a moderate to high risk, not so much from the COVID standpoint, but from the economic recovery standpoint. So the Canadian economy relies very heavily on the US economy. And currently with US economy being in shambles and they being one of the countries that's been hardest hit by this pandemic, we believe Canada will also see some kind of effects of that. Canada is one of the countries that is not very keen on taking students for September. They've not even announced when their VFS will open, and they've been pushing students to do the first semester online, that is the September semester online, and then start their main classes from January. So as the situation changes, we will obviously update you on that. Currently, they're not even allowing international visitors or students to come into the country. So it's an absolute no-no right now, and we're not quite sure when they plan to open up their borders. They've been postponing it every month now, right? So yeah, we would update you on the situation as the situation evolves. But as of now, we would put it on a moderate to high risk. Right. Last but not the least, USA. Again, I mean the numbers speak stories here. So 53,000 cases is the average that they are at right now, and they've been very, very badly hit. Though they're not in an official lockdown, many of the places are functioning and open. We believe the economic slowdown will have a massive impact, and for that reason, we've kept USA in a high risk and a long-term recovery kind of an option. Also very important that US remains the most expensive destination to study. So when you're spending that kind of money and the recovery chances are limited, it's best to maybe look at other countries or look at better options that are there. Right, that's pretty much it in terms of the overall risk assessment of various countries. This has been done in basis of some of the analysis we've been doing and the data we've been gathering from various agencies. Obviously, choosing a country is a very personal choice of the student, but I would recommend that you target countries which are low risk, in both in terms of the current COVID situation also and in terms of the economic recovery as well. Because when you're spending so much money, it's important that you go there and get to work there for a few years to gain important work experience and at the same time recover some of your investment, right? Well, then we'll move on to the next section. Jacinta, back to you.
Thank you, Chetan. Okay, so now we have the panel discussion, and I would like to introduce you to two very, very influential and eminent personalities who will help you understand as well as answer most of your questions and queries regarding the situation today. Andrew Fraser, he is an international recruitment manager, Southeast Asia. He works with Kingston University, UK, has over 10 years of experience with the higher education sector in UK, occupying various professional roles. He has worked in international development and student recruitment for over 3 years, specializing in the Southeast Asia region. So Andrew, please, we welcome you onto this panel discussion. The second person that I would like to introduce you to is Divya Malhotra, Account Manager Education, UK Visas and Immigration. She too has been associated with UKVI for over 5 years at the British Embassy in India. Her role is to manage UKVI relationship with key stakeholders and partners in education sector. The objective is very clear, is to support, improve and innovate UKVI services offerings and to promote effectively and efficiently in your visa processing. Last but not the least, we've already met Chetan Jain, Director of Study Smart Overseas Education as well as IELTS training. These three people will answer all your questions. First, we will address some questions to them, and later on, we will definitely have some questions from yours as well. All right, so are you all ready? Chetan, Andrew, are you all ready?
Yeah, Jacinta, go ahead.
Oh, great. So this question is for Andrew. Since you're based in UK, can you give us a sense of the atmosphere right there, right now? What is the day-to-day life like in UK?
Well, today is a key day, as seen in Chetan's presentation, because now we have restaurants, cinemas, attractions, hairdressers opened today. So lockdown is well and truly over in terms of the lockdown situation. What we are seeing, and we've seen a localized lockdown, in Leicester, which I think is good news, because I would hate for it to be a national lockdown again. I'm very cautiously optimistic about how things are developing, and I can share from personal experience, being out shopping, that it feels almost like pre-COVID-19. So it's a good atmosphere right now in the UK.
Well, that's good news. Thank you so much. The next question, which bothers a lot of the students, is: do you see things changing and life coming back to normal for the students?
I 100% do, and I think people are talking about the next normal. And I think what that means is because people have got used to using online platforms and facilities. So actually, I think there's going to be a lot more flexibility within the economy. You know, there are still a lot of vacancies in the UK, and what that will mean for students who want to work part-time is that lots of companies are now getting used to delivering services and support online. So I am cautiously optimistic, and I'm optimistic in the sense of the government's strategy of trying to get the economy back and running, which it is, and its strategy around localized lockdown. Obviously, we can't talk about, you know, the winter time, but that's why I'm cautiously optimistic, because at the moment things are moving along very well.
That's wonderful.
Just
Do you
to
think
add,
it's
add on
safe?
that front,
Yes.
just to add on what Andrew said, that you know, there's a lot of effort. I've been speaking to a lot many other universities as well. There's a lot of effort the universities are putting in to ensure that the student experience is not hampered in any ways. You know, so even though they might reduce some classes and take some certain actions, student experience is the top priority for most universities right now.
That's
Yeah, go ahead.
wonderful, and I think that's what the students are looking forward to as well. Do you think it's safe for students to come to UK in the September 20 intake?
Well, following on from what Chetan was saying, I do, because we have the resources to ensure student safety, and actually it's student safety that comes first. That's our priority. And as Chetan has mentioned, the UK healthcare system is renowned globally. I don't want to be so boastful to say it's the best in the world, but I mean, the fact of the matter is that our healthcare system was not overwhelmed when we hit the peak. We had spare beds. So in terms of your safety coming to the UK, you will have access to our free healthcare service. So we are, as UK universities, putting measures in place to ensure your safety.
Just to add to that as well, it's important that the students should know that the insurance that they take, the IHS also will cover any kind of treatment they need to go through on the COVID front. So if they were to get infected for any reason, their treatment would be covered under insurance. So they're completely insured in that sense.
That's great. Another question would be around the self-isolation. So when the student arrives in UK, what kind of support can they expect from the university?
Well, absolutely. And I think that, you know, we're only at the beginning of July, so it could be by September that India will be a country where there will have to be self-isolation. I can speak from Kingston's point of view. What we're offering is an airport pickup service and what's been described as a concierge service. And this will be typical from many universities. And what that means, for that 14-day period, you will have, there will be members of the university that will help you with any food deliveries, any other items that you need to be comfortable in your stay. And again, you'll be part of the campus community. So although you will have to be in self-isolation, we will make sure that that 14-day period is as comfortable as it can be.
All right, that's nice. Another thing that definitely bothers the student is what will be the impact on the overall student experience compared to the pre-COVID times?
Well, I think there's no doubt that their activities will be restricted somewhat, and that is in terms of to comply with social distancing. So I'm not going to pretend it's going to be exactly the same in September. And this is to ensure that if there is another second wave, that we can deal with it there and then very quickly. And so we will still have, the campus will be open. There will still be activities. As I said, lockdown has pretty much ended in the UK. But to ensure social distancing, there will be a slight restriction on capacity, how many students would be able to access certain venues. So that's it really. But apart from that, what I'm excited about is the new opportunities that these restrictions have meant, and that in terms of flexibility. So actually, many students who are looking for part-time work will may be able to do some work in the comfort of their own home. So there are some actual benefits of these restrictions.
All right, that's nice. Will physical classes be conducted?
Well, I can say from Kingston's point of view, and from many, that yes, there will be. To comply with social distancing, there will be a reduction in how many classes will be available. The idea and the hope is that this will affect the first term. So that means for classes that have practical application, engineering, art and design, yes, there will be physical classes and there will be seminars. Also, we're not offering online degrees, so you will still have access to lecturers, career coaches, and the libraries. So although there may be some online classes to supplement the fact that we will have to have less capacity for social distancing, there will still be that overall experience that you'll gain. And remember that our lecturers and tutors, even if there is a class online, you will still be able to access support from them, either by a meeting like this or a physical meeting.
Oh, that's great news. All right. Now, another question that I would like to ask you is, from the student standpoint, is what if students face any financial hardship during their studies? Is there any support from the university?
Absolutely. We've universities for a long time have supported students in hardship, so both home students and international students. I can speak from my perspective that we have a hardship fund, which means that we invite international students to make that application. And there are so many charities. For example, I'm a proud vegetarian, and there are many charities that support students accessing certain foods. Now that hasn't really been a case for Kingston, because many students are still able to have their part-time job and have the support there. But that's just one example, that there are many opportunities and facilities to help students who are in temporary hardship.
All right.
Just to add to
that
that,
solves. Yes.
for everyone's benefit, so during the lockdown period, I was in touch with a lot of students of mine who were already in the UK, and I'm talking in general with various universities here. A lot of them were given certain allowances from the university because they were not having a part-time job, or because their parents were not able to send money because the banks were closed. They could not go to the bank to get money even if they had the money, right? So there were certain allowances that were given by universities. So some universities were giving regular food packs to students, so that some universities were giving a grocery supply to the students. So there was various kinds of support that was given to the students, and obviously the universities were digging into their hardship funds for this. And I believe, I have every reason to believe, that the university will continue to do so even in the future.
Wonderful. That's nice. Last question, Andrew. Are there any initiatives that universities are taking to ensure that the overall student experience is good in the current situation?
Absolutely, and as already mentioned, I think we really care about student safety and student experience. So student safety comes first. So we have, as mentioned, an airport pickup service to help you get to your halls of residence where you'll be staying. If you will need to be in self-isolation for 14 days, offering a concierge service so that you do not have to worry about any items that you need during that period. And again, what I would really encourage students to do is really speak out, and if there are any concerns, is to ask. And certainly from my point of view, I have students and I can signpost them to the relevant support. There is so much student support from UK universities. So it's really important for international students to identify any areas that they need support with, because the chances are the support is there right in front of them. They just need to ask for that support.
Thank you so much, Andrew, for your insight. And I'm sure the questions that you have answered would definitely help all the students to clear up a lot of cloud, which they, for so many months, they've been apprehensive about. Thank you once again, Andrew. All right, moving over to Divya. And like I mentioned, Divya would answer a lot of questions related to your visas and things like that. So Divya, my first question to you is, we have information VFS will start accepting new applications from 6th July. Can you confirm this news, please?
Yes, sure. And thank you for having me today for the webinar, first of all. Yes, that's correct. So VFS will be resuming its services from 6th of July. So as the global travel and work health restrictions have begun to lift, so we are resuming these services. So initially, we'll be returning those passports which were held with us during the lockdown. So our priority will be to return those passports. And we're opening those visa centers only where the local government restrictions allow us. So there are 10 to 11 centers that we have opened in India, that will be opening in India effective 6th of July. And this will be with all the COVID protocols. So that is, the students can expect to follow all the protocols, like covering their mouth, sanitizing their hands, and the visit to the visa application center will not be allowed without prior appointment. So there, we are opening the centers wherever we feel it's safe and it protects the customers as well as the staff of these application centers.
Great, that's nice to know. Thank you so much. What will be the typical visa processing time? Will the fast track services resume anytime soon?
Well, the typical one is, the 15 working days, the standard service time that we have. However, the coronavirus has had a significant impact in all the services of UK visas. So, though we aim to assess all the applications within standard service time of 15 working days, however, the students can expect a little delay initially while we restart our operations. And as I mentioned, there will be fewer appointments initially because we'll be following all the protocols. So the standard service time would be 15 working days only. Please note that we are not offering any priority service, super priority service, or walk-in services initially. However, whenever we feel that we will be able to commit and effectively provide, our services within priority, that is 5 working days or 24 hours, whenever we are confident, we'll start those services again. Our main focus right now is to provide our services safely and securely to all the applicants and the students.
Divya, just one more thing on the same note. Do you anticipate a restriction on the number of applications that you'll be taking in a day? Because I know some of the other VFSs that are operating are limiting or capping the number of applications per day. Is there some similar cap for UK as well?
There could be. We haven't decided on the cap, but yes, as I mentioned, because there will be protocols followed, so you can expect less number of applications. Last year we were accepting, let's say in Delhi Vac Center, we were accepting 2,000 to 2,500 applications per day, but that might not be a scenario right now in the given circumstances. There will be limited appointments because we need to maintain social distancing as well. So this will delay the services a little bit, but we don't have the exact number as of now. However, since we are done with our peak season of visits, which we never had, but the students, we are making sure the students are able to apply well on time. They have enough time left now if they are to travel in September intake, or if not September, then January. So yes, I think we have enough time to apply for their applications for visa.
Thank you. Thank
All
you.
right. Okay, great. Another question to you, Divya. Can you update us on the current student visa requirements, please?
Yeah, sure. The requirements remains the same as the last year. There are no any changes in the requirements. So the documents that we look for is the CAS letter, which is the confirmation of acceptance of studies from the university. So which is the unconditional letter issued by the university to the student to confirm their admission. So that's one of the priority requirement. The other one is the all the document listed in the CAS by the university. If the university has listed any academic documents in the CAS letter of the students, so students need to make sure that they submit those documents as well. The third one is the funds requirement. So they need to show the maintenance fund in their bank account and as per the university that they have applied for. So there is a different amount for a university in London and outside London. So they need to show appropriate funds in their account. This can be shown either through their savings account, through the fixed deposits, or it could be through an education loan, or could be a scholarship letter as well. The fourth
All right.
one comes is the tuberculosis test. So that's also the requirement that we have for Indian nationals.
Okay, that was something very important. Thank you for touching on that.
Yeah.
The next question that I would like to ask is any COVID-related tests required?
Well, there is no specific COVID request, COVID test that we are asking for right now. However, as Andrew mentioned, as per current scenario, there is a self-isolation requirement of 14 days when students arrive in UK or any traveler arrives in UK. So that's as per current scenario. However, we suggest students to check closer to the date of the travel. The situation might change of self-isolation dates. So but we're not asking for any COVID test as of now. As I mentioned, tuberculosis test is a mandatory requirement for all the Indian national. It has to be done in the approved UKVI approved medical center, and it's the TB test certificate that we need to see, not the scan or an X-ray. But no, we're not asking for the COVID test. However, if students do develop any symptoms of COVID, we strongly recommend to avoid the travel. And because there will be tests at various stages. There will be tests at the airport, by the airlines, at the UK border. So if they are showing any symptoms, they might be restricted to board the flight or travel as well. So we do suggest to avoid the travel if they are seeing any symptoms of the coronavirus.
Jacinta, are you there? I think she's facing some connection issues. I'll take it ahead from your Divya. So one more question that I believe would be on every student's mind is what happens to the post-study work visa? We believe it still is going to remain, not remain. What's your take on that?
Yes, sure. So that's one of the most talked about topic that we've been discussing in every webinars and the lives these days. So yes, the graduate route, which is we call as post-study work, is very much happening. As we announced it earlier by Home Office, and there are no changes to it. It will happen. It will be launched in summer of 2021. Which means all students graduating in summer 2021 or after will be eligible to apply for this graduate route. So what is this graduate route? This is your 2 years post-study work visa where students will be able to work, look for work and study further as well. During this period, they can also switch to tier 4 skilled visa if they are able to secure a tier 2 skilled job within those 2 years. But this is a non-extendable route, so that is it is only for 2 years. It cannot be extended, and also it is not the settlement route, so it does not accrue any settlement rights. So the settlement rights are only from the tier 2 visa, not from the tier 4 graduate route visa. However, there are also certain very important updates announced by the Home Office recently, which is also again a lot of queries that we've been receiving from the students, because as Andrew also mentioned, universities are offering online and blended courses as well. So the this was never allowed for tier 4 full-time studies. The blended studies or distance learning was never allowed earlier. However, for the academic year 2020 and 21, so Home Office has approved that the students can go for the blended course or an online course, provided they intend to transition to face-to-face course whenever the circumstances allow. And they will also be eligible for the graduate route if they're going for the blended course, provided they arrive in UK before 6th of April 2021. So that's one of the conditions. It gives enough time to the students to apply for the visa as well, because they do not need to apply for a visa if they are traveling in January or maybe February. So they will apply only before their travel. And also, we are assuming the situations and the circumstances which will be much better much before April, but they have time till April 6th.
Okay. Can you hear me, everybody?
Yeah,
Yes.
Jacinta.
Yeah, okay. So I think that was the last question, Divya. And thank you so much for shedding light on all the processes. And I think our students will be in a better position to understand that what needs to be done for their study abroad plan. All right. Now,
Thank you very much.
yeah, welcome. Moving on, we have questions from our students, and I would address these questions to all three of you all. The first question,
Before we take
yes,
the questions, can we
yes,
just give some recommendations to students from our side as to what our recommendations are and what they should be doing? So I
yeah,
thought we
sure,
can run that first and then take the questions at the last segment. So
sure.
Andrew and Divya, just bear with me for 2 minutes. I'll just quickly run through some recommendations that we want to give to students that are attending today, and then we can take the questions. So I'm just going to quickly share my screen for this. Right. So some recommendations that we would like to give students from our side. Firstly, do continue with your application process if you have started your application process, especially for low to medium risk countries. We genuinely believe that there is a good opportunity for you to start your studies in September or January 21, depending on the country you select. Right. If you've got an offer from your desired university, don't let go of that opportunity. Accept that offer. Make the deposit payment, and you can always have the flexibility to defer to the next intake if you feel that you're not very comfortable traveling right away. So say, for example, if you're holding an offer for September 20 for a university or a course of your choice, I would recommend make the deposit payment. And when you get closer to September, say maybe by July, August, if you feel that no, you're still not sure whether you want to travel in September and you want to wait longer, you can defer your admission to January 21 or even September 21. If you pay your deposit and then defer your admission, you won't have to go through the admission process all over again. So your seat is reserved, your admission is pretty much confirmed. It's just that you're changing your start date from an X date to a Y date. So if you're holding an offer of your choice, do pay off the deposit. What we also anticipate is a lot of rush for January, because we're seeing more and more students that are inquiring, students who had dropped their plans are again planning to start the process. So we believe January intake could see a lot of rush, and the sooner you accept your offer, the better it is for you. Be positive. These Western countries like UK, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, they're all very well equipped to handle any crisis. Much better equipped than our own country, unfortunately, is. Right? And look how the tables have turned. Right? 2 months ago, the numbers in India were under control, and these countries were exploding. But now it's the other way around. These countries have managed to control it to a great extent. Some of them went the herd immunity way, let people get infected and develop immunity, right? And things are looking very scary in India right now. The numbers are only increasing. We all are seeing the news on a daily basis. And what I would like to advise to students is that you would probably be safer in countries which have a good respect for law and order, where people will follow social distancing norms. In India, unfortunately, when you go out on the streets, it's a joke right now, social distancing. Nobody is following it, right? So your chances of getting infected is much higher here. We are already, our healthcare system is already stressed. There are not enough beds. So getting treatment is not only expensive, but difficult as well. right? So you're probably safer in these countries because the healthcare systems are much better. And obviously things are far more organized and people would follow social distancing norms much more stringently than they would in India. Lastly, universities, educational bodies, governments are working very, very hard to ensure that they're putting policies and processes in place to provide maximum support to students and ensure that their experience of studying in a foreign country is as close to as it would have been before the COVID situation, right? So do not deter your plans of studying abroad. It's a dream for a lot of people. So fulfill that dream, and there is no better time than now to do it, because if you were to work in India, getting a job for the next 1 year is going to be challenging, right? So you may have to compromise on the salary, you may have to compromise on the position. So you might as well invest this 1 year in studying, and by the time you graduate, things would be back to normal. Things would be again on the upward trend. So getting a job also would not be challenging, right? That's a strong recommendation from our side. Obviously, if you do have any further queries, where you still are confused whether what you want to do. Obviously, everyone's priorities and situation would vary. The countries you're targeting could vary, right? So we are happy to give you free personalized one-to-one counseling via Zoom or via any other online platform. You can call this number here to book a one-to-one appointment where I'm happy to counsel students directly. So you can book an appointment with me. Alternately, we do have our country experts as well. So the country experts would also be in a position to give you more information about particular countries that you're planning to study in. So do reach out to us on these numbers. We are open to take one-to-one counselings and help you arrive to the right decision. Obviously, we respect your concerns and we respect if you want to drop your plans for this year and look at next year, which is absolutely fine. But we will be happy to address any concerns that you have. Right? That's pretty much it. Now we're happy to take questions that students have. So Jacinta, over to you for questions.
All right. Thank you, Chetan. And we have a couple of, not, there are a lot of questions, and I would ask the question in general, and any one of you can take this question up. The first question is, Australian universities are ready for November and Feb intake. Does that mean the colleges will start from Feb, or will only do the admission process in Feb?
Yeah, so
I
in
think this will
Australia,
be for Chetan.
yeah, so anything, obviously, for any other country, I'm happy to take those questions, Jacinta. So for Australia, February is a regular cycle. It's a regular intake, right? So Australia typically does July intake and February intake. So it's a regular intake. You would start your classes in February, and there are a few universities that offer a November intake also, right? So those universities that offer a November intake is also an option that you have.
Great. There's another question which says, studying in Australia in Feb 2020, will it be on campus or off campus?
Yeah, so Australia right now, only for the July intake, they're doing online classes, right? Any student traveling in November or any intake after November would be physical classes. So they are keen on conducting regular physical classes and have all the regular campus facilities that students would have. Like I said, that they are one of the fastest to recover from the COVID situation. So I believe the student experience will be absolutely fantastic.
Great. The other question that someone has asked is about international students who are planning to go to Canada. Can you share something on that, please?
Okay, I think we covered the risk assessment. So I would not keep Canada as a very favored choice right now, because there's no clarity from, they're the only country that has been very unclear on their plans, so some other countries have been very outright on media fronts, on their websites, clearly spelling out what they want to do. But Canada is one country that's not been very clear. So we don't know how the picture will be. I'm very sure September intake is not going to happen. The next available intake would be January. But on the economic side, we see Canada struggling because they rely heavily on the US economy. So I wonder if it will be a good choice for students. And that's why in our risk assessment, we put it on moderate to high. We do not favor it as a destination right now for students.
Okay, all right. The next question is, which country in terms of education and finance is better, New Zealand, UK, or Canada?
I would keep UK as my top choice. primarily because London is one of the power cities in terms of finance. So they say that 3 cities in the world control 90% of the finance around the globe. That's New York, Tokyo, and London. So London is one of them. The London Stock Exchange is also the second largest stock exchange in the world. And name any big finance company, insurance companies, banks, they would all have their European headquarters in London. So I would say UK would be a far more promising destination for a career in finance. Even the variety of courses they have, the professional accreditations like CFA, ACCA, CIMA, most of their courses are professionally accredited. So in that sense, I would say UK would be one of my top choice for a finance course.
All right. There's another question. If a student with more than 10 backlog can enter into UK?
Andrew, you want to take that question?
Sorry, could you repeat the question, please?
Sure. So the question is, if a student has,
yeah, go ahead.
if a student has more than 10 backlogs, can the student take a course in UK?
So backlogs, as in that's the period of it's been 10 years of studying. Is that right?
No, Andrew, I'll clarify that for you. So a lot of times students have to retake the subjects. So they may fail a subject in the first year or second year. In India, we call them backlogs.
Okay, so to answer your question, no, but that will depend on the university. So all universities will have their own selection criteria. So what I mean, I've worked for 3 different UK universities, and what they're looking for is the overall degree classification. So it may be you need to get the percentage. So as long as you've got the correct percentage of your qualification, that wouldn't matter. And in any case, with Study Smart, they will help you with your statement of purpose. So that's really key as well, is that you do have to meet the minimum entry requirement, but that's also where your statement of purpose will come in to help you. So from our point of view, no, but you will need to meet the entry requirements.
Just to add on to that, most UK universities do not look at the number of backlogs you have. They would primarily look at your overall score, your degree score. Backlogs majorly play a role in Australia and Canada. So for Australian universities and Canadian universities, if you're over 8 to 10 backlogs, it's a big deterrent on your application process. And most universities will not accept you if you have more than 10 backlogs. So that's more specific to Canada and Australia.
All right. There's a question from Amit Sharma. He says that the COVID situation that we're talking about and the numbers that we're talking about is just that a hypothetical situation, but he needs a little clarity on the cases and what is the control measures that have been taken. And if in India it's going to be bad, will I be given the permission to come to UK, or will my entry will be restricted? I'm planning to take up Jan 2021 intake. So Andrew, would you want to answer that question?
Sure. And I think really speaking with many students from India and colleagues, my main concern is for you being able to leave India safely. So I can confidently say that it will be fine for you to arrive. We have measures in place to support you transition to your accommodation. So I don't personally think it's going to be a problem for you to arrive. It's just making sure that you will be able to safely leave in India. As Divya was saying, what's really exciting is the graduate immigration route. You will need to arrive in the UK before April 2021. This is really important because we are allowing you to commence your studies online from India. But what I would really recommend is, obviously, if you're coming in January, that's fine. It will be a later date. But you've really got to ensure that if you do commence your studies in India online, because you can't leave, that it will be safe for you to leave India in time to arrive in the UK. In Kingston, we really want you to do that before Christmas time. So I'm sorry that's not a clear answer. And in fact, it's a bit too soon to predict what the situation in India will be like in September. So I would just say hold tight, and I'm sure Study Smart will be able to support you in terms of preparing for your for that.
Just to add some information from my side as well. So firstly, the situation in India, we can't predict how Whether it'll get better, whether it'll get worse, no one knows, right? But a few things that UK universities are doing. I'm not sure, Andrew, if Kingston is a part of this, but I know there are some universities that are getting together and they are planning to get charter flights from popular destinations, right? Destinations like Bombay, Delhi, Bangalore, where they have a lot of cohort of students traveling. So they would, maybe freeze certain dates where they would have chartered planes coming in and bringing the students to the UK if in case the international flight operations from India don't resume, which I believe would. By August, we are anticipating that the government will lift the international travel restrictions as well, right? So even getting there will not be a problem. And at the end of the day, if you have kept yourself safe, at best you can go and get yourself tested, right? There are multiple private institutes and private diagnostic centers that are doing the COVID test, right? So you can always carry a test certificate just for your own sense of security when you're traveling also. So that option is also on cards. Sorry, Divya, you wanted to add something.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that UK visas and immigration, they have been very clear that they are not penalizing students because of the current situation that we have faced. So they are very clear if there were students who were issued visas earlier and were not able to travel, they can apply for a replacement visa. They have given an option for students who are stuck in UK, they can extend their visa there itself from UK. And also now for the blended learning, they have approved blended learning and they have given time to students to travel to UK till April 2021. So they're making sure that students do not, are not penalized because of this situation, and they're providing and offering all kind of support to the students and all the other applicants as well. And also the universities have been offering a lot of help in terms of accommodation and any other travel related guide that they need. So it looks really positive for travel to UK, though we'll have to observe all the health measures at the border. But yes, the students and all the other travelers are, the Home Office is making sure that they are not penalized and are able to travel when it's safe to travel.
Divya, I just have a follow-up question on that. Typically when the single entry visa was issued and the student then had to apply for the BRP once they reached the UK, used to be
Yes.
for a month, right? The validity was 1 month. Are UKVI considering in increasing that validity, because it could happen that the student could apply for the visa, get the visa, but is not able to travel within a month's period?
Yes, you may hear on that, but we do not have any confirmed news because we're still awaiting on a lot of updates from the UK visas and immigration and how it's gonna. You might see a little increase, but as of now, the confirmation is only for the 30 days as it has been earlier.
Okay, great.
Okay,
That's
great.
next
That's
question.
nice. Okay, the next question is from Vishwaroop Chaudhary, and his question is, how do you think the UK September 2020 intake in terms of quantity be affected, actually he wanted to say affected due to the current COVID situation?
So what I'm seeing is now Kingston University, we've had a strong January intake and a March intake as well. I've seen a lot of universities, UK universities, where they haven't previously had a January intake, now offering a January intake. And I think that although it is, it will be safe to travel, to come to the UK, I think because of the uncertainty in India, I think a lot of Indian nationals are just nervous to travel. So even though from an objective point of view, it would be safe to do so, families are a bit apprehensive. So what I am anticipating is that perhaps more students will be, there'll be a bigger cohort in January. We will still have the September intake. We will still deliver the September intake. But I predict that whereas before the September intake was the main intake and the January was a smaller cohort, we've already increased capacity. So if students need to defer to January, they will have that option as well.
Great.
Yeah. Just to add to that, and again, it's a kind of a recommendation. Yes, September numbers will be much lesser compared to previous years. There's no doubt about that, right? It's not only because of the uncertainty. There's a lot of delay on the Indian side, right? The results are not out. Students are not able to give IELTS, right? So there are various other factors playing a role in the September numbers looking smaller. But I do predict a mad rush for January, right? So I would recommend students to accept their September offer and then defer to January so that your seat is safe. And in case the courses get full and the university hit the capacity, you're not affected by that.
Yeah, I mean that's absolutely correct. I think as well, I've got many students who are their results for their undergraduate is delayed. We're looking at maybe getting recommendations, looking at their previous results. So universities are looking at making the September intake possible where we can because of issues in India with the delayed results. But yeah, I mean, what I would recommend is speak with your counsellor about that, and the university themselves will be able to help you in your individual circumstance.
That's great. The next question is applying for fall 21 in US for physiotherapy masters a good idea?
That's almost a year and a half from now. I would say any healthcare related courses or healthcare related careers will have tremendous scope all across the world right now, right? Because there is a huge need for healthcare professionals all across. So yeah, physiotherapy, while it's not exactly healthcare, I would say it's on the similar lines. So you would have a good option of having a decent career. Like I said, with US, the biggest challenge is not just the economic recovery, is also the post-study work, right? So as of now, if you're going for a non-STEM program, you only get a 1-year post-study work visa. And after that, you have to apply for the H-1B. Currently, they have suspended the H-1B, and nobody knows what the future of the H-1B visa will be, right? So I would say US still remains the lowest when you talk about return on investment. You're spending so much money, and the chances of you recovering that investment is very, very less because of the immigration policy of the country. A country like UK have relaxed their immigration policy. They're encouraging students to come and work, so and give them the work opportunities. So you'd rather focus on going to a country which is more positive towards immigrants, whereas avoid countries that are very negative towards immigrants. And it's not necessary that you want to settle down in the country or you want to live there forever, but at least work there for a few years so that you gain the experience and the exposure and come back to India and really, really kind of have an exponential chance of growing yourself. So from that point of view, you want to look at maybe countries like UK, Australia, New Zealand, which are providing better post-work opportunities.
Makes sense. Okay, the next question is, I want to do MS in clinical nutrition and what is the dietetics? What country and university should I choose, keeping in mind that the financial status is not quite good?
Yeah, so if you're looking at cost-effective options, again, a lot of people believe UK is expensive, but it's actually not, because the pound is very high compared to the rupee. When you compare it with other currencies, it's a fallacy that UK is expensive, but you do get courses ranging from 10 lakh rupees going up to about 14 lakh rupees. So that's quite reasonable in today's time. So UK could be a good option. Tremendous scope for dietetics and nutrition related courses. And they have a wide variety of nutrition courses. They have general nutrition, sports nutrition, so the kind of branches that UK offers in that field are also tremendous, right? And yeah, UK could be a good option. You could also look at New Zealand. Again, New Zealand is very, very focused when you talk about nutrition and diet and overall well-being, right? So even New Zealand could be cost-effective because with a 1-year diploma, you could get 2-3 years of stay back. Similarly, in UK with a 1-year master's, you could get 2 years of stay back. Any other country would require to study for 2 years, so your expenses would double. So UK, New Zealand could be good choices because they would offer a 1-year program.
Great. Next question is, it is said that there will be a second wave of virus. So is it right to take a chance or wait and apply for September 2021?
I mean, this is just we can't predict this, and but what I would say is the government, the UK government, is putting measures in place so that if there is a spike, then we've got safety measures in place. So, for example, I showed that there's localized lockdown. In fact, with the reason why there's so many cases, there has been because we're doing so much testing. And actually what that should identify is that we're able to see any any places, localized areas where there's a slight increase. So the UK government is very much focused on managing this so the economy can return back to normal. So even if there is a second wave, the fact that we've had a local lockdown should indicate that the government is on it, is able to identify where there's any increases. So I think, to be honest with you, I mean, that as Chetan has said, September 2021 is a long time way away. And what will you be doing in the meantime? I mean, they say in economic downturns that a lot of people go to education. It's far better to get your education done and dusted when there's no prospects of getting a job. Because even though your experience may not be exactly the same pre-COVID, what else are you going to do? And you know, your time is valuable there. So I would think it's better to invest your time studying. And already we have students now. Here we've got many Indian students in the UK I'm in contact with, and they're doing fine under lockdown. It's not easy in terms of all of us, but what they're doing is they're able to use this time getting their education.
That's great. That's nice.
I'll just add to that from the experience I've had with some of my students. The last 3 months, because I had so much free time, I've been speaking to a lot of my students who are already in the UK, right? So most of the students who chose to stay back during the lockdown or before the lockdown, where there were some who came back to India and some who stayed back in the UK, they all are very happy that they stayed back. They are far better off there than they are here. The students who came back are regretting the choice of coming back in such a hurry, and they were like, we wish we would have stayed back, we would have been in a better position. And also ask yourself this question. I don't think I need to answer this for you. Where would you be better off fighting the second wave if there was to be a second wave? Would you be better off fighting it in India or a foreign country? Right? I don't think I need to answer that.
Okay, moving forward, there's another question. I have a conditional offer from UCL, and I wrote to them regarding a deferred. Should I instead accept the offer after the submit of the required documents, or should I take a call or defer it later?
My recommendation would be to accept the.
Exactly. I think for now it's too early to defer, and you have the opportunity to defer later on, and so it's far better to get all your documents ready. There may be an issue each individual university, if they then issue you a CAS, there might be look at the individual requirements. It becomes difficult to defer once a CAS is issued. So then you really need to make a decision before you apply for your CAS from your individual university. But if you're not at that stage yet, there's no need to defer at this stage.
And also, a lot of universities will defer your offer even after a CAS is issued, because there could be various circumstances because of which you were not able to apply for the visa. So yeah, you're better off paying the deposit, accepting your offer, and then deferring it.
All right. The next question is, what if the GDP of the country which I want to study doesn't grow in the coming times? Then what should be done?
I wish we had a crystal ball where we could see and tell you whether the country will grow or not. It's very hard to predict. Nobody ever predicted COVID-19 in this situation we are in today, right? So it's very hard to predict as to what the economic recovery of the countries would be. Though we have done certain amount of analysis on that, which we shared in the presentation before. So there are certain countries which are in a good position to recover fairly fast because of various reasons, their demographic position, the kind of population they have, the location they're in. There are various factors playing a role there, right? And do keep in mind that if there are certain countries that are going down, there will certain countries that will go up, right? So yeah, most of the countries that we discussed today, barring the US and Canada, we see the economic recovery to be fairly fast. So you're very safe to go to these countries. And a year and a half from now, by the time you graduate or by the time you finish your program, I think the job market would be fairly attractive.
That's great. The next question is, will UK conduct classes online for September 2020 intake? I think it's been answered, but there's still a question.
Well, some universities have announced that they will only conduct online classes. Cambridge, Manchester, and there are other universities. So do check with the university that you're applying for. Most will apply to comply with social distancing, blended learning, but do remember that this is a stopgap. The intention is when things already, the UK has changed it. The social distancing was 2 meters, and they've actually changed that to 1 meter plus, identifying that it's not realistic. You know, Chetan was saying that social distancing is a joke in India. I mean, in supermarkets, it's just logistically not always possible to have that 2 meter distance. So the government has already relaxed that to meet necessity. So as soon as that is safe to do that, it will be back to normal, where all physical classes will resume.
That's
Yeah,
great.
and I think this is a big question that a lot of students have, right? While universities may differ on this, but as a counselor or as a company, our recommendation is to go for physical classes. I don't think you will get a lot of value if it's sitting in India and taking online classes from a UK university or any other university. That's my personal recommendation, right? Also bear in mind that I think it's a handful of 3-4 universities who've announced that they'll be doing their first semester online. 95% of UK universities are going to be offering a blended or a physical classes with limited number of online classes. So I believe that is absolutely fine. You know, for a couple of months, if you have to take a few classes online and still have your physical classes, still meet your professors, still meet your students, go to the library, access the gymnasiums and all the other facilities, is fine. You know, so that's not impacting your experience. So obviously confirm with your respective university what the situation with them for the first semester is, and if as long as it's blended, you're good to go.
Okay, great. The next question is, considering the present situation, will it be difficult to get part-time jobs in UK?
I mean, I think that as the shops have reopened already, and the thing about the UK economy, it's a service-based economy. It's very consumerist. People love to buy, and so many students are able to get part-time jobs in retail, in unskilled work. Unskilled work is easy to come by. Now, a lot of students will want to look at work that relates to their profession, which, you know, so I can't necessarily speak to your specific circumstances, but to actually look at your return on investment. And there's a minimum wage in the UK. So in London, you're likely to be earning £10–11 per hour. And already there are lots of job vacancies in the UK, and many that are based online. So actually, it's going to become, I can foresee there's going to be more flexibility in the job market, where you can actually do some marketing or business related research in your room at home. So yes, there will be certain challenges. I'm not going to deny that, but people are willing to spend money and to buy, so that there will definitely be part-time job opportunities available.
Yeah, I'll just add to that. Students who will be traveling in September, restaurants. Most of the students normally get jobs in departmental stores, restaurants, malls, right, which are all opening up. If they were to remain closed, then part-time job would have been a big concern. But because they're opening up, I believe they would need people. Also, bear in mind that by the time you settle down and then you're kind of, find your feet, you're hitting the Christmas period, right? Which is when a lot of job requirements are there, because a lot of British nationals are not willing to work, or they're rather taking their holidays, right? So there's more people are out there shopping, more people are out there visiting restaurants and bars and pubs, and there are less number of people working. So automatically the job requirements or the number of jobs that are available during that period shoots up. And once you manage to get yourself a job and you're in the system, more opportunities will come your way. So I don't see part-time as being a big concern right now, to be honest.
Okay. Next question is, what would be the impact on admission process and application deadlines?
Right. I don't think there has been any impact on that. All universities have been operating business as usual. Offer letters have been issued. Most of them have announced by mid-July they will start issuing the CAS letters as well. And in fact, application deadlines have been pushed forward, right? So many of them typically by now would have closed their courses and say no more deposits, right? But all of them have been very flexible, keeping the current situation in mind. So I think the impact is positive. You have more time to decide. The application deadlines have been pushed forward. Many universities are still taking new applications, which would typically not be the case at this time of the year, right? So yeah, I think it's all business as usual, and the only positive is you have more time.
Great. The next question is for Divya. Divya, the question is, what would be the impact on getting all the official working done and getting the visa as well? Would it be difficult now to get the visa?
Uh, well, as I mentioned, the requirements, it doesn't really matter if the requirements are met by the student while filling the application form. So I don't see any issues in granting the visa. Our stat says the 96% of the visas, if filled with correct information and the documentation is complete, is granted every year. 96% is granted. So it's the current circumstances does not have any impact on the way the visas are processed or the applications are processed. It still remains the same. However, the situation is different right now, but following all the protocols and safety measures, the processing part is still is the same. There may be, as I mentioned, certain delay initially as we restart. However, there isn't any impact that the visas will be refused, more visas will be refused, and less will be granted. This process remains still the same, and we are issuing 96% of the visas. We are granting the numbers that we receive.
Great.
That's great.
I just would like to add something on this. A lot of students, I see a few questions here also, but a lot of students are wondering whether they can still make it for the September intake. Do they still have enough time in terms of the visa process and everything? So I would like to answer that. See, we are right now only in July, right? Say if you get your results by the end of this month, you even get your IELTS score by say mid of August. Even if you apply for your visa as late as end of August, you would get your visa by mid-September. And most universities have already pushed their start date by 2 weeks. So most of them are offering a September late start rather than a mid-September start, with extension available as well for another 2 weeks, right? So even if you were to arrive in the UK by first week of October, you're still in time for your classes. So there is enough time to make it for the September 20s. It's no longer a September 20 intake, actually it's an October 20 intake now, right? So yeah, don't worry. A lot of students are worried that, okay, will we make it in time for the September? You have plenty of time. And again, this is where our expertise come in. We will ensure we'll give you a proper a kind of a roadmap so that you take the right steps in order to make it there for the September intake if you have the intent to go in September 20 intake.
Next question is, the IT program after graduation. Can you suggest a country for masters, as there is high risk in Canada and US, and they have said that IT hubs and something no is high risk. Can you please suggest for pursuing masters in which country?
Yeah, so if you're looking to study any IT related courses, I would keep Ireland as one of my top choices. So Ireland, a lot of people don't know, is the second largest exporter of software in the world. Any big IT company that you can think of, whether it's an IBM, Facebook, Google, they have their European headquarters in Ireland and Dublin, right? So with US and Canada taking a hit, especially on the IT sector, again, it's an opportunity for Ireland to tap into a lot of work. And it's again always been a popular choice for IT students in the last 3-4 years. A lot of the IT related jobs are in a skill shortage there, right? So I would say Ireland could be a top choice. Also, the benefit is they offer a 1-year master's, so it works out to be very cost effective, and they have a 2-year stay back like UK. So you can stay back and work in the country for 2 years. And UK also, we are seeing a lot of movement happening on the IT front. A lot of skill sets like data analytics or software engineers are again in a skill shortage in the UK. So even UK could be a good destination if you want to study any IT related courses. A lot of choices of courses with the UK. So universities have a broad variety of specializations available. So right from cybersecurity to data analytics to networking, you could specialize in a very a unique and a specialized area as well, and then have a good shot of getting a good job also.
Okay, great. The next question is it a good idea to take up an undergraduation in New Zealand and post-grad in UK?
I would actually flip it the other way. UK has always been one of the top destinations for undergrad studies for 2-3 reasons. One is it's closer to home, right? So you're at a 8-9 hour direct flight distance, so your parents can come and meet you in the semester breaks and vice versa. Traveling from countries like New Zealand, US, Canada, longer flights, more expensive flights, right? And undergrad students tend to come back home a lot more than postgrad students do, right? So in terms of accessibility, UK is better. Also, the amount of Indian community that's present in UK is the highest compared to any other country, right? So for a 17, 18-year-old kid, that little environment of a home away from home is important. So having some community support and having other Indian students can be very, very positive, right? So I would say you should look at a UK for your undergrad and maybe a New Zealand for your postgrad is how I would put it.
All right. Next question is, I want to do masters in architecture. Can I know which country is best and financially good? And what about, again, masters in architecture in Australia?
Okay.
So he's asking which country is good for masters in architecture, actually.
So again, for architecture courses, UK has been one of the top choices, invariably for Indian students. Again, they have such rich architectural history, and their courses are a good blend of historic architecture versus modern architecture, right? So it's been a popular choice. We've seen a lot of movement in Australia as well, especially for construction management and architecture related courses. So Australia could also be a good choice. So I would say between UK and Australia, depending on your budget, you could choose what country makes more sense. With UK, they have a lot of MArch courses which are 1 year. Typically, an MArch program is 2 years, but some of the universities offer a 1 year MSc in architecture also. So depending on your budget, you could see whether UK makes more sense or Australia makes more sense.
All right. Okay, we have a final question, and the question is, for engineering management, which country is best?
It's very hard to say which country is the best for particular courses. But yeah, Germany has been a popular choice for engineering related courses. UK is again top when it comes to engineering courses. US is a good choice for engineering courses. So in terms of academic value and the kind of courses and the recognition that the university has for courses in engineering, these 3 countries, I would rate them as pretty much the best in the world.
Okay. All right. I
Right.
think we
Have we covered most of the questions? Because
yes.
Right. Apologies if we have missed out on any questions. There are quite a few questions that have been asked. And again, if there are more questions that you have, you're welcome to get in touch with us and we will be happy to guide you. I would like to give a vote of thanks. Andrew and Divya, thank you so much for making time and joining us today. All the valuable insights you gave and the facts that you made our students aware of, I'm sure it's going to be very, very useful, and it'll help them to a great extent in making the right decision because it is an important decision. There is a lot of thought that you need to put into it, and you have definitely given them some sense of direction. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so
Andrew.
much. Thank you for the
Divya.
opportunity.
Thank you.
Right. Great. Everyone, have a lovely weekend ahead, and stay home, stay safe.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Thank you.
Take care,
Bye.
everybody. Bye-bye.